Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to review my new security system. So previously I reviewed a system that we just were not happy with. So today I'm going to take you along for a system that I think you'll be surprised about. The cost, the pros, the cons, if I would buy it again, and my thoughts on it. So let's get started. In that last video, I reviewed the Arlo Essential and Essential XL. There were some good things with it being wireless and some different features, but overall, it just wasn't a functional system. We paid around $300, $400 for a system that in the end is basically a paperweight. They were offline more than online, and we just couldn't function like that. I need to be able to kind of monitor the security of our home and property, and I like the idea of being able to reset the cameras if they go offline from a distance. We had been out of town and couldn't do anything about our system being offline. We had to wait until we got home, which missed a lot of footage. Things could have happened. We had a pet sitter, different things like that. And it was really all around frustrating, not to mention pretty expensive in the per month cost. So I talked with my mom and dad. They are very happy with their security system. And so I decided to go with what they were using because all around the specs were kind of what we needed. We have pretty similar internet needs and things like that, similar property setup, and those kind of things. So we went ahead and purchased that. So we went with the Wyze version 3. Now, the biggest difference in the two cameras, besides the fact that the new cameras are much smaller, which I like, is that the new cameras are wired. Something that I was originally looking for was a wireless, but I found that for our property, we were having to charge these cameras, the previous cameras, all the time. They were not holding a charge. It was getting frustrating. And so my mom and I talked about it, and she suggested that I purchase the wired Arlo and just purchase an extension cord for that. So that's what I did. So we got these extension cords. So while the cord that comes with it isn't very long, you can buy extension cords that are 20, 40 foot long, and it works fantastic. So I left one in a bag so that I could show you. I got the 40-foot one because that's all I needed. I measured, and it comes with the staple things to mount it to the house, so it'll look nice and tidy and kind of disappear. And it's just a micro USB cord. It's nothing like specific to the camera or that type of thing. So that was pretty easy to find, especially on Amazon. I think I got 2 of them for 20 bucks. So it really wasn't much of an investment, but it gave me peace of mind knowing that there's always power. I don't have to worry about charging them if they're going dead, things like that. Now that we've gotten them all installed, I've given it a little bit so that I could really analyze my thoughts, give it a couple different scenarios, and formulate my pros and cons before I did a review, because I didn't think it was fair if I did it right off the bat. So my pros, the size. They are much smaller than the previous Arlo. That means that they are discreet. I was also able to purchase them in a solid black option. They don't stand out as much. People don't notice them as much, which I kind of like when people don't really realize that they're on camera. And that way it's just a little bit more discreet. It's not as noticeable, and it's just not this big old white block on the side of the house. So it is much smaller. It's easier to mount. The mounting system is easier to use. And it took us just a matter of minutes to mount all 3 of the cameras that we purchased. Number 2 is that the overall monthly cost is very, very cheap. So they have a plan that you can pay $99 for the year and have up to 99 cameras. I don't know where I would put 99 cameras on my house because we have 3 cameras and have almost the entire outside of our home on camera at all times. So we are going to add some cameras just for extended coverage and pinpoint coverage for some areas. But at $99 a year compared to $13 a month of the previous company, that cost difference is huge. I can't beat that, and their system is super easy to use. The app is very user friendly. I like that both my husband and I have equal access to everything. I don't have limited use because he's the primary user or vice versa. So I can turn on and off the cameras or set sensitivities as well as he can. So it feels very fluid for our needs and doesn't feel limiting like the previous software was. And then my last pro is how well it picks up. If anything comes within view of the camera, the very edge of the view of the camera, it starts recording and alerts us. I love that because we have it pointed to where we can see people barely coming into view of our property and right before they go out of view of our property. I like that I can see them. Before, they were basically in our property and could almost be on our front porch before we were ever alerted that they were even within the vicinity. I want that notification to be really early. With our previous system, it made me really uncomfortable that I just couldn't know what was going on soon enough, and I felt like I was missing too much, especially with not knowing who was here before they were completely at my door. This allows me the opportunity to put our dogs away, especially if we have visitors showing up unannounced, because that does happen sometimes. It gives me an opportunity to put the dogs in the kennel so that they're not bombarding our visitors and things like that. Those are my 3 major pros. Another one is the camera clarity at night. Even in the darkest parts of our property, the night vision on it is really clear, much more clear than our previous system. I don't feel like we need a spotlight in our backyard where there is no natural light or even a street light shining, so we can still capture movement and things like that and feel like we've got good coverage even in our backyard. Another pro, the cost of these cameras per camera was less than $30. Less than $30. So for $90, I purchased 3 cameras. My last set was $300 or $400. I can't remember exactly how much. But for less than $90, I replaced our entire system. And if I would have gotten the 5 cameras that I had previously, if I'd have gotten 5 more cameras, it'd have been $150. So half the cost of the other system. That price is fantastic. The imagery is fantastic. They have a doorbell. They have a whole bunch of different parts and pieces that you can really adapt the system to your needs. And they don't just sell cameras. Wyze even sells a body scale. We purchased the body scale that was like $30 and it does full body composition and weight and sends it to the same app as the security cameras, which is wonderful. So we've got kind of multiple things with this. I can't wait to adapt our home using more of their products and see where it all takes us. Now to some cons. So like I mentioned earlier, they are not wireless. And while that's a con, I've started seeing it as almost more of a pro, because I was able to adapt the system with that cord like I was talking about earlier, and I'm able to have the assurance that they're always on power. The only time that may be a negative is when we're out of power, but if we don't have power, then we don't have internet, so it wouldn't really matter anyway. And I think that's just fine. So that would have been one of my cons. My other con is the hypersensitivity sometimes to the movement of trees. So I can't just take it down enough sensitivity level that it doesn't pick up trees as a person or a vehicle. It's thought that it's both. And so I've had to turn off the cameras if it's too much, especially if it starts just alerting over and over and over repeatedly. If it's a really windy day, there's times that I will just turn off the cameras if I'm here, so that it doesn't just keep alerting. But overall, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I would rather it be too sensitive than not sensitive enough. So those are my only cons, and that was really rather hard to come up with some cons. Now, would I buy it again? Yes. I have a hard time coming up with cons for it, so definitely. I recommend this highly, especially if you're living in an apartment and don't want to invest a large amount of money or are tight on funds, have an Airbnb or a rental home or different things like that, and want a little bit of peace of mind. You're not investing a lot that if something happens and it gets broken, it's not a lot of money to replace, but yet it gives you that little bit of added security. And like I said, $99 a year to monitor up to 99 cameras is a really good deal, and it's a one-time fee. It's not a monthly subscription, so that's really easy to manage. My overall thoughts is that they have been fantastic to work with. I've dealt with I had a question, so I asked their little chat window. They were super helpful and quick to answer, so I definitely recommend them as a company. This is not a sponsored video, so take that for what it's worth. But that is all I have for you today. I will see you in our next video. Until then, bye for now.